Patricia Field, she, like the finale of the show, remember Sarah Jessica wore that, purple dress to the premiere of the opening of that big ass that made no sense. There was no way she could have packed it.
I know. I saw that suitcase.
And remember, it did not fit in there. That was a tiny Toomey. # tiny Toomey. And she was like lying in the bed asleep in it, and he hit her. And she said this beautiful hotel room and the whole speech that was later plagiarized on Bachelorette. And the reason that dress happened and that scene kind of happened is Michael Patrick King went downstairs into the wardrobe room, and Patricia Field, who smokes, was like, this dress wants to be in the show.
That's great.
I think for me personally, and my generalization about comedians, and I think you and I can relate on this level, I think we all just need to be seen and heard.
Yeah.
And I think most comedians either weren't seen as kids or heard as kids. If you go on stage and basically take, thousands of people hostage to listen to you, and they're not allowed to talk back, and if they do, security will remove them. Like, you have an extreme need to be heard,
right?
And maybe if you're in fashion, you might have a need to be seen, in some way. So I was invisible as a kid. I didn't get enough attention, so I had to work really hard to get attention, and now I sort of do that in my professional life. When I need to be seen, I dress a certain way to fulfill that inner need, and when I want to hide, I dress a certain way, So when I do stand-up, I dress very monochromatic and hoodie and nothing, and I want to disappear because I want people to listen to my jokes. Right. And when I'm not doing stand-up, I dress super flamboyant because I still have that need to be seen, but I don't get to tell jokes to get attention. So it's filling a very deep emotional need.
And that's my whole thing with fashion, right? Is that it's just another language that I use to connect.
Yeah.
Because I like people and I like talking to them and I like.
I noticed that first thing. It says it's so interesting because I thought. Because growing up around fashion, I felt it was a little bit frivolous, like when I was younger, when I couldn't afford it, especially. I'm like, why would you spend $1,000 on this ridiculous thing? I had resentment towards it. And my mom would go around and was doing PR for clothes. So in my head, I was just competing with fashion. And I was like, why is fashion better than me and me? And then when I became a writer, I realized how important fashion is, because the costume designer is sometimes the most important person in a staff, because you need to be able to say who a character is without them talking.
Right.
So when a character walks on screen, I need to know everything about them, how much they make, what they do for a living, if they're married, if they like themselves, if they're sexual. I need to know so many things solely based on their outfit. Right. And I learned the value of fashion. Yeah. So in creating a character, writing is like 20% of it. Casting is like 30% of it, and like 50% of it is wardrobe.
Yeah.
You need to be able to tell me everything about this character in 1 second, because otherwise it looks like I'm a bad writer.
Don't you feel like there's no room for dishonesty anymore?
In stand-up?
Like, it is, generally, across the board, it is impossible not to be authentic.
I think it's harder to lie to other people, but it's easier to lie to yourself. So it's easier for us to say, it's harder for me to say to you, I like Kim Kardashian. Yeah, I'm totally a fan.
You're really inverting this lens.
I'm lying or whatever.
Right.
Or that looks really cute on you. What's happening. We're all smart now. But it's easier for me to say, I don't know, I'm not addicted to my phone, and I will pick it up on the freeway while I'm driving.
Right.
We lie to ourselves a little bit more, I think, these days.
Well, I think we always lie to ourselves. That Joan Didion quote, we tell ourselves stories in order to live, right?
Yes.
We tell ourselves lies
in
order to tweet.
Or I'm following someone oh, my friend, Leandra, I can't really call you my friend yet.
But I'm totally calling you my friend.
Well, you're my best friend.
So I was with my sister Whitney earlier.
This is the longest I've hung out with anyone in years, by the way. I think that we have this the only thing that's artificial, I think, now is our sense of connectedness,
right,
and our sense of intimacy.
Yeah.
Whereas our authenticity, as you said, is absolutely, I think, more increased. Our sense of intimacy has decreased. I learned this recently. It was literally a newsflash to me that I read somewhere in a self-help book. Not that I need it. They said love is not earned. Approval is not earned. And I was like, what? Yes, it is. You constantly have to go around every day and earn approval with your clothes, with your body, with your jokes, with your makeup, with your this.
Right.
It didn't occur to me that you're not supposed to be trying to earn people's approval all day. So I just started putting that into action recently. I think it's made me a little more boring.
I'm going to say that's not true.
Thank you.
Wait, so approval's not earned. That makes a lot of sense, but then what is approval?
Approval, period. Or just sort of another person. So you liking me, the goal is for me to not be I really hope she likes me.
Right.
The goal is I like myself. her opinion's not really any of my business. I think that I use what I wear to compensate for whatever I'm lacking in a certain day. So if I'm feeling vulnerable or weak or scared, I will dress in a really tough way.
Right.
And like boots or sneakers and like a leather jacket, jeans.
And you're aware of that happening as it's happening?
I think I'm pretty aware of it. And when I'm feeling strong, I'll dress in a more, I hate the word feminine, but in a more delicate way.
My whole thing with fashion is that I feel very satisfied when I can surprise people.
I have aspirational clothes that are like one day when I get the self-esteem to wear that, I will.
That's cool.
So I have a lot of things with tags on them that I like, you know, or it's like a goal. It's like some people have skinny jeans, like I want to fit into those. Mine are like, I just want to one day have the balls to wear that. Like I have these rag and bone white suspenders that have leather straps.
Why don't you feel like you have the balls to wear those?
Because I feel like as a comedian, I can never wear something that I would make fun of if I saw it.
Your interest in fashion should not minimize your intellect. Like we're
I
allowed
love
to
that.
sit here and talk about my skirt from Topshop and then with like the same conviction
Yes.
talk about the psychology of an eating disorder.
And
right?
we're also allowed to, which I love what you do, we're also allowed to be in the fashion world and like not be super serious and like, you know.
And still respect it.
And still respect
Yeah.
it. And I think that conversely, what I'm sort of trying to do a little bit one step at a time in comedy is be like, we're allowed to be funny, but also be fashionable. And also, if I'm on stage and you think I'm less funny or take me less seriously because of what I'm wearing, if you're
that means you're really, really frustrated.
yeah, it's like you're lost. If like you're focusing on what I'm wearing instead of what I'm saying, like what's going on with you? Or I need to write better jokes, or that's my problem.